It was a bone-chilling March morning in 2017 when Detroit sanitation worker Marvin Lewis followed his routine route through the city's east side. While clearing trash near an abandoned textile warehouse on Lynch Street, he noticed a large blue plastic barrel standing oddly upright near a wall riddled with graffiti. Its industrial seal was crudely wrapped with layers of duct tape. But the putrid smell leaking out stopped Marvin in his tracks. Fearing it could be something dangerous or worse, he backed away and called 911. Responding patrol officers arrived within minutes, and their attempts to open the lid confirmed Marvin's fears. Inside the barrel, curled in a fetal position, was the partially decomposed body of a young woman, covered with lime powder likely to mask the odor and accelerate decay. There was no ID, no wallet, no identifying jewelry. Her fingertips had been scraped, likely to prevent fingerprinting. The surrounding area was littered with old syringes, shattered glass, and burnt-out cigarette butts. A surveillance camera near the alley had been deliberately smashed. The body's condition suggested she'd been dead for at least 10 days. The case was immediately handed over to Detroit Homicide, and the lead was assigned to Sergeant Rachel McPherson, a 17-year veteran. She had handled more than 100 homicides. But something about this case felt different, deliberate, almost methodical. News spread fast. By evening, local outlets had dubbed it the barrel case, igniting public speculation. A battered shopping cart and a strip of torn blue and red fabric wedged beneath the barrel's lid would later prove to be key evidence. But at that moment, police had nothing to go on, no victim ID, no eyewitnesses, no surveillance footage, and no apparent motive. What began as a routine sanitation run had unearthed a crime that would expose dark cracks in Detroit's missing persons protocol and force a city to confront how easily the voiceless can disappear. The blue and red fabric scrap retrieved from the barrels seal didn't match anything the victim was wearing, but it stood out. Crime lab technicians identified it as part of a uniform used by a regional diner chain called Jiffy Eats. With few other leads, investigators found out across Detroit's Jiffy Eats locations. At the Midtown branch, the manager confirmed that 29-year-old waitress Heather Dumas hadn't shown up for her past 5 shifts and hadn't called in either. A missing persons report had been filed by her roommate 2 weeks earlier. But since Heather was an adult, police had not prioritized the case. Security footage from the diner on Heather's last shift showed her in a heated argument with a tall man wearing a green hoodie. Facial recognition software flagged him as Kyle Nardelli, 38, a mechanic with a violent criminal history, including past charges of domestic assault. The two had reportedly dated off and on. Detectives staked out Kyle's last known address but found he'd moved in with a girlfriend. When arrested, Kyle claimed he hadn't seen Heather in weeks. But a search of his car revealed dried blood in the trunk. DNA analysis confirmed the blood belonged to Heather. Forensic evidence further tied him to the barrel. Investigators found lime, dust on his garage floor, and plastic barrel fragments in his backyard. Under pressure, Kyle eventually confessed. He claimed the death was accidental, a fight gone wrong, but the timeline, the cleanup, and the disposal said otherwise. His confession was backed by cell phone pings placing him near the warehouse. The barrel case had its perpetrator, but public outcry over how long it took to act on Heather's disappearance triggered scrutiny of Detroit's protocols. Why had no one looked for her earlier? Why had her report sat dormant for 2 weeks? The investigation laid bare the consequences of a system that too often overlooks missing adults, assuming they vanish by choice. In the summer of 2018, Kyle Nardelli went on trial for the murder of Heather Dumas. Prosecutors presented a compelling case built on a mountain of forensic evidence. The blood-stained trunk lining, lime traces matching the barrel, security footage of the argument, and Kyle's own confession. The defense argued that Heather's death was unintentional and that Kyle had panicked. They claimed he had mental health issues. stemming from childhood trauma and substance abuse. But psychiatric evaluations ordered by the court showed he was competent. In closing statements, the lead prosecutor reminded jurors that someone who goes to great lengths to dismember a crime scene and hide a body does not act out of confusion. They act out of fear of getting caught. After just 6 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a unanimous guilty verdict. Kyle was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. But Heather's legacy wouldn't end in a courtroom. Her family launched the Missing Matters initiative, which lobbied the city council to mandate immediate investigation of missing adults, regardless of age or perceived risk. By early 2019, Detroit PD overhauled its missing persons protocol, implementing a new rapid alert system and creating a dedicated task force. Sergeant McPherson testified before the city council, urging continued training in victim-centered policing. Heather's death also spurred changes in the diner chain's employee welfare checks. Local activists began hosting community safety workshops. Though the pain of Heather's loss would never fade, her case sparked overdue reforms. The Barrel case became a fixture in police academies across Michigan, used as a cautionary tale about investigative urgency and the price of silence. It serves as a sobering reminder in the pursuit of justice, every hour matters. And when institutions fail the vulnerable, accountability must follow, not just in courts, but in policies that value every life.